Hey there, everybody, and welcome to OutKick Bets. I am your host, Kayla Canarum, and my co-host over there in Alabama is a newly crowned world champion, Arky Shea, huge Atlanta Braves fan. Arky, congratulations. How you feeling today, my friend?
Man, if they were to tickle me a color, it'd be pink right now. I'm so excited. Like, last night was as smooth and as stress-free as I could hope for a Game 6. I didn't have to worry about all of the drama going into a Game 7 and all the freak out going into a game like that tonight. It's done. It's over. And the trash can thieves are put to bed once again. I am so happy right now.
Well, this is where we start the show each and every day. A bet last night, which happens to be the Game 6 of the World Series. So let's kind of recap. Atlanta Braves, your World Series champions, first one since 1995, which, by the way, was 26 years ago, and that freaks me out in and of itself. That does not seem right. My overbet didn't hit of 8.5, but that's okay. The Braves won. I picked them, so we're good here. Lucky number 7 for Atlanta. Shutout, 7-0 Houston at home. Soler cranked that 3-run home run to kick off the night. 3 more runs coming in the 5th when Dansby Swanson had a 2-run homer in the 3rd, followed by a Freddie Freeman double. It wasn't the competitive game that you kind of like to see in the World Series, but the fact that the Astros got shut out at home instead of forcing a Game 7, I think, was the poetic justice that America liked to see happen to the Astros, as they are not, the most highly sought-after team in the MLB. So, Arky, how did you celebrate? Walk us through the night. When did you finally take a sigh of relief and know that you guys were going to be world champions?
Mrs. Arky was sitting next to me for a good portion of the game, and she was very bored by the game. In fact, she's not really a big baseball fan, so she eventually went to sleep. And the last 4 innings were all mine. And the Braves were already up 5-0 at that point. And you never sort of get comfortable because there's always this sort of cursed aspect of the Atlanta Braves, and more generally the Atlanta sports teams. And luckily, that wasn't the case this time. It started out quick, as you mentioned, the Jorge Soler home run that makes it 3-0. The Braves add a couple more on a couple innings later. And then you add Dansby Swanson adds one, and so does Freddie Freeman, gets one more in his very last at-bat as a Atlanta Brave, possibly ever. Probably not, but he is going to be a free agent this offseason. And the Braves are your world champions. I felt good finally when Tyler Matzik got the final out of the 8th inning, and I knew Will Smith, as much as maligned as he has been as a reliever and the closer for the Braves, he has been stunning this offseason. 7 for 7 for save appearances, ERA well under 2. I knew even he was not going to be able to blow 7 runs in that game, and that's when I started feeling really good about it. I started texting my friends who've been texting me throughout the game. And even a friend, shout out Cody, who's out there in Houston trying to watch his Astros win, was trying to jinx me the whole game via text. Was trying to say, hey, go ahead, get your merchandise and stuff. Like, no. But the 9th inning, I could finally go get my merchandise.
So you didn't even relax until the 8th inning.
Well,
that's wild. I feel like by that point you would know.
It's been 26 years. Right, and the Braves were up 3-1 in the NLCS last season when they rightfully should have been in the World Championship, and that's with Ronald Acuna Jr. on that team. That's with Marcell Ozuna, who was swinging the bat hot last season. So without that, I mean, you got to wait till it's over at this point.
Well, I'm very happy for you and Braves fans everywhere. Much deserved. So enjoy it.
I will. In fact, I'm going to leave now.
Okay, deal. All right, before we get to our rundown today, we also have some breaking news out of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID. OMG. Chiefs fans just took a collective sigh of relief, me being one of them, as they play at Arrowhead this Sunday. His vaccine status is a little murky. We don't think he is vaccinated because at the beginning of the season, he said he's been immunized, which I'm pretty sure we all were as children. But he also said he respected players' rights to choose whether or not they got the vaccine. So we don't think he is vaccinated, which means he will be out a solid 10 days at least. Arky, your thoughts on this? This is already changing the lines for the Chiefs game on Sunday, obviously. So walk us through all of this.
So finding that out this morning is obviously huge news because he's been the one consistent factor that you can sort of bank on with Green Bay this season. I mean, it's the reason why I didn't bet against them in their last game against Arizona on last Thursday night, because you never count out Aaron Rodgers when he's out there, no matter how many receivers he's losing in a game or how many running backs or how many anything. Aaron Rodgers has been that dude. But not having that guy in and having Jordan Love come in as his backup is a very different situation. And I learned long ago, I've been doing this quite a while, well over a decade, a sports betting thing. But someone who's been doing it even longer once told me to the side, said, there is only one position, really, in all of sports that can move a line more than a point, maybe two. And that's quarterback in the NFL. And if you got a really, really good one, you can move it 4, 5, 6, 7 points, probably at the max. And that's what we've seen so far. Kansas City was minus 2.5 coming into this game on FanDuel. It's up to 7.5 for Kansas City right after the news. It is a huge swing. It is a ginormous swing in what the total, what the spread is going to be. And Aaron Rodgers is that dude that makes that kind of movement happen.
Absolutely, yes. Like you said, they have jumped from 2 to 7.5 now. I'll be honest, I'm still probably not going to bet the Chiefs because, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 5 times, shame on me. So still probably going to stay away from that line, but this is going to totally change the game. I'm also kind of concerned, when a star quarterback goes out and the backup comes in and they just kind of ball out. I'm hoping that's not what happens here on Sunday with Jordan Love, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
That's what they're trying to avoid, right? If you're the Aaron Rodgers camp, you don't want to have that dude come in and say, "Oh, okay, it's fine if you go ahead and leave early. Want to go somewhere else after this next season? If you want to do it, we got a guy here." Green Bay really wants this Jordan Love guy to really work out. So far, he hasn't so much, but this could be the shot he's looking for.
Well, other people were bringing up a good point on Twitter when I was looking before the show. There's, I guess, a lot of fines for players who aren't vaccinated, depending on what they can and can't do. So you can't, go out to a house party. You can't go to bars. You can't do all these things if you're unvaccinated. And we all saw that Aaron Rodgers was at a Halloween party over the weekend. So that could also be resulting in some fines for QB1.
Yeah, that serves you right for Justin as John Wick. This guy, come on. John Wick, really? Come on.
All right, we are going to move right along today to our game of the day. Kicking it off in the NBA, all of our lines are according to FanDuel Sportsbook. The Bulls, who are 6-1 and tied for league best next to Miami and Utah, head to Philly to take on the 5-2 76ers. The Bulls are 3-0 on the road. Philly is 3-1 at home, so here we go. Chicago, kind of going in as the underdog, plus 1.5. Money line for Chicago is plus 102. Philadelphia minus 120 with the totals of 215.5. Arky, how are you betting this game tonight?
This is an interesting matchup. Chicago, as you mentioned, has been really good. I love what they did in the offseason. Getting Alex Caruso has really fit in nicely for them. DeMar DeRozan had a chance to beat the Knicks a few nights ago with the last-second shot. He's been a really strong addition to them. And, of course, Lonzo Ball. They have all sort of worked out really nicely for Billy Donovan's bunch, and I love that team to be able to be more than just a playoff contender, but maybe even steal a series early on this season. Now, they've proven to be probably above their skis a little bit so far, but who knows at this point? They're only 7 games in. Maybe they are this kind of front-running and maybe hold it through the end type team despite being this young. They're really strong defensively. I think they're 5th in the league in scoring defense. They're 7th in the league in scoring percentage as far as field goal percentage allowed. While Philly, on the other hand, they're pretty efficient and good on offense. They're the number one in the league in field goal scoring percentage. They're in the top 10 as far as points per game. The thing I worry about, though, is the fact that we're going to go another game without Danny Green and Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is out. He was just pulled from a game on a couple nights ago for like half an hour before the tip because of health and safety protocols with COVID-19 and stuff. So I do worry about having him in the lineup to be able to maintain this, but the Bulls are undefeated as a dog so far. They're 2-0. They're going to go 3-0 tonight, so I'm going to stick away from the 1.5 point spread. Who cares about that? Let's go Bulls straight up to win. Let's get some of that plus money. As you mentioned, plus 102. Let's go ahead and take that.
All right, I like that. You mentioned staying away from the point spread. I'm going to do the opposite. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are leading the Bulls off to a hot start. They've also got Vucevic, who's averaging a double-double in points and rebounds. Bulls have all the right pieces, and they're clicking, which is more than the Chiefs can say. Bulls are currently 6-1 against the spread, as well as straight up. As you said, Tobias Harris, questionable. Joel Embiid questionable. Two key pieces for Philly on offense that leads the league in field goal percentage. So not great for the home team. And they're still without Ben Simmons, let's not forget. Philly is 4-3 against the spread, while they are 5-2 in their strength of schedule thus far. Hasn't been super impressive. Interesting that the Bulls' one loss of the season, by the way, this is just a fun fact, came at the hands of the Knicks, while Philly's two losses this year one of their two losses also came at the hands of the Knicks. So, quick question: are the Knicks back, Arky?
Yeah, they're totally back. They're the best. Despite losing a couple nights ago, they're back. They're totally back. They're going to win against Indianapolis tonight, or Indiana tonight in Indianapolis. They're going to look great.
Oh, breaking news. There you have it. Anyway, so I am taking Chicago plus 1.5. I think this is actually a very easy pick. So that's what I'm going with here.
Both are very high on Chicago. I like that.
At least we agree on that. All right, moving on to our spotlight matchup of the day. We're heading over to college football. More Maction action tonight. WNF, that is Wednesday Night Football for all of you who have not had your coffee. For the first time this season, we're getting WNF. The 6-2 Northern Illinois Huskies visit the 4-4 Kent State Golden Flashes. I had no idea this was a team mascot name, and I'm so happy about it. The Kent State Golden Flashes. What is that?
It's a figment of my imagination, is all I can tell.
The things we learn when we dive into little Maction action. Kent State is first in the MAC East. Northern Illinois first in the MAC West. Lines go as follows. Northern Illinois plus minus 4.5. The money line for them is plus 154. Kent State is minus 192 with a total of 68.5. Northern Illinois is currently on a 5-game winning streak. Hello. Their quarterback might have the best name in all of college football, Rocky Lombardi. Are you kidding me? We've got the Golden Flashes and Rocky Lombardi all in the same game. I'm very excited about this. Let's see here. Meanwhile, Dustin Kroom is leading the way for Kent State, and both quarterbacks are pretty close when it comes to numbers on paper. So how are you betting this game? Who are you picking? Who do you like?
So Northern
Tell me all about
Illinois
it.
is the best rushing offense in this league, in the MAC. They're by far the best. They're super balanced, and with the rushing attack as far as how many guys rush and how often they rush. They're going to be without their leading rusher again this week, but he's been out for 3 weeks already, so one more is not going to matter. They're still in that 5-game winning streak. As you mentioned, they're 5-2-1 are the Huskies against the spread. 5-2-1, and you're getting 4.5 points against Kent State.
Wow.
4.5 points against Kent State. Now, Kent State is an explosive offense. Nobody has more in that conference explosive plays as far as plays over 20 yards per game. They can absolutely light you up if you give them a chance to. It's why the total is so high. It is a really, really big total to be looking at. I stick away from the total. I look at the spread, and I think 4.5 seems to be a lot. I think Northern Illinois packs it in, rushes the ball, keeps the air out of the ball, goes against Kent State, keeps that offense off the field, ball control. Northern Illinois shouldn't be given 4.5 points. I got Northern Illinois upset winning the game. That's plus 154 on the money line, but I really like them again tonight.
All right. Okay. Because I don't know these teams well, I'm not going to, I'm going to stay away from the spread is what I'm going to do. But I am going to take the under here because while they've had high-scoring games, as we know, conference games can be unpredictable. Kent State plays some fast football while Northern Illinois likes to take their sweet time. So I'm going to take the under here of 68.5. Plus, that's just a huge number. So that's where I'm going with tonight.
It's a huge number. What we got to watch out for if you're Northern Illinois and you're going to bet this money line, you've really got to watch out for Kent State on defense because they are plus 14 on the turnover margin, which is great news for them. While Northern Illinois, I think, is minus 2 on the season. You got to protect the ball, and I think the better chance to protect the ball is by keeping the ball, again, on the ground with that rushing attack. And I think if you're going to play the total, I'll probably play it under because I think Northern Illinois is going to do as best they can, no matter if they win or lose, to keep the ball as long as they can. So I'm going to stick away from the total, but I would lean for the under. But I'm definitely playing Northern Illinois to win plus 154.
Love it. All right, we're going to move on to the college football rankings. Our first rankings came out last night, and boy, did people have a lot to say about it. Going over the top 4, we've got, obviously, Georgia, undefeated, number 1. Alabama 7-1 sitting at number 2, Michigan State 8-0 at number 3, and Oregon 7-1 sitting in the 4th spot. After that, you got Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, Oklahoma, Wake Forest, and Notre Dame. Obviously, people have a lot to say about this every single year. No one's ever happy. Cincinnati, people feel got snubbed, and it would have been the first group of 5 team to make the top 5. They are, let's see here, they're 8-0, so they deserve to be in the mix. And then, of course, the Oklahoma Sooners 9-0. They're at 8 right now, not in the top 4. So, Arky, what are your thoughts when you look at this and break it down?
It's clear that the committee doesn't watch football. I mean, it's obvious that they don't watch any of the sport. They just flat out look at the rankings and say, who looks good here? Michigan State, they're number 3, and Oregon's 4 because they beat Ohio State. Listen, the thing is, it really doesn't matter that much at this point because
it's the first one, right?
6 more times before we get to the Final Four. But there's a couple of things to glean from it that I think are really interesting. Cincinnati is at 6, and they are the highest-ranked group of 5 team to be this far into the poll this late in the season. But the fact that you have them 6 and you have them below Ohio State surprises me. Because the season can play out to where you can drop them if you want because you don't like their wins as much as you like Ohio State's wins, for example. But Cincinnati has done everything you've asked them to do. Like, I don't know, win all the games.
Yep.
How about that? They went to Notre Dame and they suffocated the Irish. I don't like that there's this still barrier to make an excuse for why a group of 5 team will never be considered like a Power 5 team in this equality-based system, which really has no equality at all to it. Oklahoma's super surprising to me down at number 8 because they're traditionally top 2, top 3 when it comes to one of these initial rankings because they're usually undefeated at this point of the season, at worst 1 loss, but people think highly of them. But it seems the committee, even though they don't watch football, are very suspicious of how close some of these games Oklahoma's had. The close game against Kansas, a lot closer than it should have been, some people think.
That wasn't great.
And the game against Tulane, a lot closer than it should have been. I think you sort of need to account for what this current Oklahoma team is as opposed to what you thought they were in the first month of the season. But regardless of all of that, like all of these teams that we're talking about now, probably except for Cincinnati, if they win, they're going to have a chance to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. The only one that's being set up to be disappointed right now is Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sad for them because, like you said, they've done everything asked. I'm still curious what's going to happen with OU. Like you said, they have played close games. We're always told ugly losses or ugly wins are still wins. I guess that doesn't apply to the committee here.
It does. And back in the BCS days, they took out that metric, that whole margin of victory metric that was supposed to be like, hey, did you beat a team by 100? That's how good you are. They took that metric out because they clearly saw how flawed it was. But then you go back to these random 13 people who are voting on this, and they clearly think 21's a bigger number than 20, and Cincinnati's not quite as good as, Michigan State, for example, or even Ohio State, just because, well, we've never seen it, so we have to think it.
All right, question for you. If Cincinnati and Oklahoma continue to roll the next few weekends and stay undefeated, do you see them getting in the top 4 in, say, 2 or 3 weeks?
I'll say this is what I think could happen. I think I could very much see one of those weeks, Cincinnati, especially if Michigan State drops a game, or who was number 4 on that list? Oregon, yeah.
Oregon.
If Oregon doesn't look nearly as good, I could see at some point Cincinnati getting to 5, maybe even 4, only to drop when the final rankings come out, no matter how they do. I think the committee wants to give an air of, hey, this team's finally doing it, without actually going to put them in. They'll never put them in the 4. That's why you have to have an expanded playoff. Oklahoma will be there at the end if they win out. Absolutely. They'll definitely be in the top 4.
The Oregon thing surprises me because they 7-1. Their one loss was to Stanford, but I don't know. I don't feel like they are deserving to be in the top 4.
Yeah,
That's just me.
They've looked weak this year. They have a bad loss against Stanford. The UCLA game was a struggle for them, and UCLA looks like they may be ready to fire Chip Kelly at any minute. So there is the possibility that Oregon and whoever comes out of the Pac-12 in general comes back to earth in a very violent way. And right now, it looks like the Ducks that are on that perch.
Last question for you before we wrap this segment up. Who's going to be in the top 4 when this is all said and done, in your humble opinion?
So I think Georgia has clearly proven to be the most consistently good team this season. So if I were to pick now, I would go with Georgia. I think Ohio State's going to be in that. I think Oklahoma is going to be in that. And I think we're going to see a scenario where we're going to be looking at probably Alabama or Wake. And no one's ever going to give Wake the credit over Alabama in anybody's right mind. Yeah.
Whoa! So, I did not see that coming.
Wake's the only undefeated team in the ACC, right? So like they're the one team in the ACC, and they're sitting at 9 right now. They're the one team that can sort of make that run, and they have a pretty cool, neat offense out there that can be kind of attractive. But no one will ever give the benefit of the doubt to Wake over Alabama. Alabama's just earned too much credit so far.
The fact that you didn't even say Alabama first is shocking to me.
I think I feel pretty good that Alabama will either lose to Auburn or lose the SEC championship game. One of the two. They may win the SEC championship game. But I think that, if they win the SEC, then they'll be in. So I think they're going to lose one of the two, and then it'll sort of depend on, I think, how Wake looks.
All right, there you have it, folks. The college football rankings, we're obviously going to be checking in with this every week as they shift and change. So now moving on to our quick hitters of the day. Arky, where are you starting with your quick hitter today?
Maction, baby. Come on. We had 3 games last night, and if you didn't watch the World Series, and trust me, I understand some of you didn't, there was Maction on all the ESPN channels, it felt like, and it was so fantastic to watch because every game was close, right? Every game was a close by some metric in that game. It was fascinating, and I think they're going to be close when it comes to this game, too. I think the 10.5 that Western Michigan is being given against Central Michigan is a lot. It's a lot. We didn't see a single double-digit win last night, and that's how tight the action has been so far. It sort of traditionally is when we get to Tuesday and Wednesday night football. But I look at Western Michigan, who only averages giving up like 19.5 points per game at home. And Central Michigan, as big as this number is, which is 67.5, they've only had 2 games this entire season that have gone over 58, much less 67, even though one of those was last week. So my play for this one is pretty simple. I'm playing the total to go under 67.5. And I think it goes pretty comfortably under 67.5. But I think also it's another really fascinating and good game to watch here on a Wednesday night.
Okay, I'm heading over to the NBA. Raptors 5-3 at Washington 5-2. Washington, the slight favorite here at -3.5 with a total of 212. Raptors are currently on a hot streak, winning their last 4 in a row heading into Washington, while the Wizards took an L to ATL on Monday, but won 3 in a row before that. So you know what? I'm going to take the over here at 212 to play it safe.
Yeah, it's a low enough number that I'll probably like that. When I think about it, it's low enough that that's fascinating. I don't know if I'll play it, but I don't hate that pick at all, Kayla, and I don't get to say that to you a lot. I don't hate that pick at all.
Oh, I'm also taking Raptors plus 3.5.
All right, now we're taking some stones. Now we got some stones. Okay.
They're just too hot right now. You can't not take them. Where's your next hitter coming from?
Well, I'm going to go back to the association, too, where the Brooklyn Nets are taking on the aforementioned Hawks. Brooklyn's a 5.5-point favorite, and the total's 218.5. And what I find fascinating about this game, spread aside, we're not even touching the spread. I can't figure out Brooklyn to save my life right now, okay? Like, Brooklyn is just struggling out the gate. They're trying to figure out who they are. Clearly is no Kyrie Irving. James Harden has struggled to come back to his current form. He talked about not being able to play pickup games when he was rehabbing from his injury. He's just trying to find his rhythm and whenever he's going to get back to being the high-scoring James Harden that we know. Kevin Durant's been great, but James Harden's sort of been late to the party. The total's 218.5. What I like about it is that these two teams have combined to go 3-11 on the over, which means 11 out of the 14 games it's gone under. And that's not just because Brooklyn had inflated totals of like 232, 233, 234 at the beginning of the season. They've gone under like 219, 220s, 221s. As the sports books try to figure them out, the total keeps coming down and down and down. But Brooklyn hasn't gone over yet this season. And that's where I like tonight. I place trends that are strong like that until you tell me not to. So I'm going under 218.5 for Brooklyn and Atlanta tonight.
Okay. I'm heading over to the NHL. The Blues, 6-1-0, at the Kings, 3-5-1. My two teams. This will be the third time in 10 days they will face off, and the first two went in St. Louis's favor, both in St. Louis. But tonight the Kings are on home ice, so look out. We've got the puck line, St. Louis -1.5, +184. St. Louis's money line, -130, while the Kings are +108. Total is 5.5. Listen, the Kings had two huge wins last week, but they also had two huge losses when they lost defenseman Drew Doughty as well as Sean Walker. But they found a way to step up, win those games to Montreal and Buffalo, respectively. So that was a win in our book. The Blues are dealing with some COVID issues, so they will be without star center Ryan O'Reilly, Kyle Clifford, and goaltender Val Husso. So Jordan Bennington will likely be between the pipes for St. Louis. They've also suffered their first loss of the season last week to the Avalanche. So I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not going to pick the puck line here because, it's too risky. But I am going to take the under of 5.5. The Blues are looking to get the series sweep tonight, but I remain hopeful that the Kings are just going to get this one out at home. Under 5.5,
so we're going a little bit of a low-scoring affair there, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be they're going to battle it out.
I'm going to trust you on this one. I don't know nearly as much about the Kings. I'm still trying to figure them out too.
You and me both. All right, and last but not least today are games to look out for. It is Wednesday, but the NFL and college football weekends are right around the corner, so we're going to look out for games that we're excited for. Arky, where are you starting with this one?
That's a little surprising to me, and that's when I take my talents to Lincoln, Nebraska, where they'll be hosting Ohio State.
Ooh.
And Ohio State's a 14.5-point favorite. Sneaky on the hook, sportsbooks, very sneaky on the hook. I think Ohio State has been great since their first three games of the season. They've been crushing conference and non-conference opponents alike. They figured out something in their running game that they didn't have in the first month of the season, and they have looked so much better. They even look better than what the spread or what the final score ended up looking against Penn State last week, even though they only won that thing by 5. So 14.5 in Lincoln seems like a lot, but I don't think it's enough. I think Ohio State is going to go on the road and do some damage. Nebraska's not that good. Like, Nebraska has moments, but the Scott Frost-led team makes a lot of mistakes. And Ohio State's the kind of team that can kill you on mistakes and kill you quickly and get you out of a game before you even think you're in it. So let's pay attention to that line. If it stays 14, I think we're gaining some money right now on this Wednesday.
Okay, very good. I am heading to the NFL. Browns at Bengals. This one I'm excited for. Browns are last in the AFC North at 4-4, while the Bengals are second in the AFC North at 5-3. Both teams are coming off of losses. The Browns to the Steelers, obviously 15-10 last weekend, and the Bengals to the Jets, surprisingly, 34-31. So here's the lines. We've got Cleveland plus/minus 2.5, Cleveland money line plus 118, Cincinnati minus 138 with a total of 47. So this is going to be a fun game, I feel like. You've got the college football standouts turned Heisman Trophy winners turned now NFL quarterbacks ready to shine. We've also got the Nick Chubb versus Joe Mixon battle to look out for on both teams, which they're pretty neck and neck on paper. So look out for that. Cincinnati is 4-0 against the spread in their previous 4 games after a loss. The Browns are 2-11 against the spread in their previous 13 games against the Bengals. The Browns have only gone over 47 4 times this season, while the Bengals have had 3. So what's a girl to do here, Arky? Despite the fact they haven't had a ton of high-scoring games, I think I'm going to go over here at 47. But I'm also going to take Cincinnati minus 2.5. So that's where we're headed with this game.
Both those teams do like to score and can score, more importantly. And I'm fascinated to see how Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield both respond after very disappointing losses last week.
Agreed. And it's going to be fun to see them play each other. I don't know. They're just such big names in college football now, making a way in the NFL. They grow up fast, don't they?
They're our children. They really are our children.
Baker obviously still playing hurt, but playing through it. So we'll see how that one goes. All right, that's going to do it for us today at OutKick Bets. Again, I am Kayla Canarum. That is my co-host over there, Arky Shay. Best of luck, friends, in your bets tonight. Don't forget to make your bets at FanDuel.com/OutKick. And we'll be checking in with you tomorrow as we head to look into the weekend with all of our college football and NFL matchups. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.